Hello, hello, hello. Crafty Chris here for another Scrap Your Scraps Thursday night. Okay, so I've got a little challenge for myself tonight. I have some leftover, like literally bits and pieces of paper and things from a set, 49 Market set. And I am going to make my April calendar page using this paper. So I do know right off the bat that I want navy as the title April, but I have to figure out which one I want after I get my page done. So I'm just going to put those aside. I literally have rub-ons from that collection. I have a few ephemera from that collection. I have this paper from a totally different collection, but it kind of collates with the, like literally 3 pieces I have left over, 4 pieces I have left over. And so this is the original paper that's left. This is something I found that kind of coordinates, and then all these other rub-ons or whatnots. I don't know whether I'll use them or not, but we'll see what happens. So as I usually do, I got to build the page first, and I know I'm going to put this down the sides because it's too short for the top, and I couldn't find a purple that worked well with this. So I'm going to put this down the sides on both sides. I have these stitchy bits. This is navy, which is in with the colors that are in the collection. And I thought the 2 stitchy bits I would put at the bottom to fill that spot there. So I'm leaning that way, or maybe switch them around, put the light one on top, the dark one on the bottom, something like that. And or I have this one with butterflies on it. I may or may not choose that. There's nothing on the back of that. And then I'm going to somehow piece together the top. So I'm thinking that's a good piece to go across the top. And this is where the ephemera and things come in handy. I could split this and run this from one side to the other. Or I could just fill in. I think I'm going to have to split it and run it from one side to the other, because otherwise I'm going to have all kinds of little pieces. So I'm going to split this in half and run it from one side to the other, and then I'm going to fill in the remaining bits with those 3 little pieces of paper. Stay tuned for the excitement. So let's get what I think I want done on the sides and the bottom, and then we'll figure out the top after the fact. So I'm going to split this. Again, I have to measure, because every time I measure this paper, it comes up with something different. And I've lost my little ruler, so I'm going to use my big ruler. So we have at the bottom here, let's say 3/4 of an inch. And let's see what we have here at the bottom and top. Oh yeah, whoops, there we go. That's better. 3/4 of an inch top and bottom. Okay, so I'm going to take 2 3/4 of an inch pieces out of this. So I'm going to get my chopper, because this paper is on the heavy side. So you want to make sure that you're able to hold it down. And this is not my best choice for choppers, but I'm going to have to make it work, because I don't have a chopper that can do this heavy paper that's small. So I'm going over 3/4 of an inch. That gives me something more to hang on to. So I'm cutting here at 3/4 of an inch. There's one. Dry fit it. Make sure that I'm not completely off. I'm a little off. Let's go to this side. See if I can fit it in there. Yeah. It's always slightly off. It'll have to do. Okay, so there's one, and I'm just going to do this. I'm going to try and do this right on the edge, but I'm going to give myself a little more than 3/4 of an inch so that I can trim it back if I have to. And this is my leftover piece. I might use that as decoration. There we go. Got a little bit more. I should remember that because it's always tricky. Alright, so those are my 2 pieces, and now I'm going to measure how big I want them. So this says 8 and 11/16, so let's go to the next. So we're going to do 8 and 12/16, which is the same as 6/8. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So that's 3/4 of an inch. 8 3/4 of an inch is what I've got for a measurement there. I don't know if I'll use that little bit. I'm going just a little bit bigger because I don't want to lose, I don't want it to be too close because I'm learning that that's what sometimes happens with my chopper. Alright, so let's just have a look here. So I now have these 2 pieces that go on either side. There we go. Now I want to put the stitching piece across the bottom, and I have to decide if I'm going to go the whole length or so doing something like that, or do I pop the purple pieces out and they go over top? I actually prefer it over top. This seems to be my standard way to go. So the first thing I'm going to do is put down the lighter color one that's going to go across the whole width because I don't need the leftover little pieces. And we're just going to line that up with the bottom. Sorry, it's hard to see without sticking my head in the camera. There we go. So we have that straight across. Then the blue one, I think I'm going to trim the blue one a tiny little bit off here because I want to see the stitching as close as much as possible. And then of course I'll trim the other side once I've got it stuck down. So let's see which side I can trim off better. I think this is the side that will trim better. So this is going to be tricky. I'm literally going to take 1/16 of an inch off from top to bottom. There we go. It's more or less okay. At least it's a straight edge. That always helps. And now I'm going to fit that right in tight. Maybe overlap a little. There we go. And get as much of that stitching as I can get on there. Unfortunately, I think I have to turn it around, which is not what I want to do. I'm going to turn this piece around because the stitching on the beige one, or the greeny sage colored one, is the same as the stitching on the navy blue one, and I don't want them to look too similar. So I'm just flipping this around so that the same pattern is at opposite sides. So this is identical, and I don't want that to show, so I'm flipping it over. All right. And we're going to stick that down. Make sure and I want to see if I can keep it all on the paper if possible and still have the stitching. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, I am just going to take a quick trim here. because there is a little bit overhanging. There we go. And everything else looks good. And now I'm going to put the side pieces on. And we're going to have them come right down the edge, aligning with the top. And again, I can't see it that far away, so I just want to take a double look. There we go. All right, and there will be some trimming back for this. So I'm going to get it lined up. There we go. All right, now on the back here on this side, I'm just going to trim this little bit. There we go. Trim that little bit off of this side. And this needs to be trimmed down the side. So actually, I think I might just chop that with the chopper. See if I can get it lined up. There we go. And that takes that edge off. And it's nice and clean. Very good. Okay. Oops. There goes my letters. Okay, so let's get back on screen. Now, this one is going to go from one side to the other. So I'm going to put that in right now. And line it right up. One side to the other side. There we go. And I see I need a little bit of trimming here. She's slightly bigger than my paper. Same on this side. Now I'm going to split this in half, because the bigger the chunks, the better. That I can do with my smaller trimmer, which I'm going to use right here. And this piece is 2 1/4 inches, so 1 1/8 is what I'm going to cut it. And that's always tricky because cutters sometimes aren't exactly accurate. Oh, I did pretty good on that, if I do say so myself. Alrighty, so we are now going to look at this. So one piece is going to go here, and the other piece is going to go there. And that looks pretty good. You can't really see a seam, so let's do that right away. You can see a seam more along where the two pieces meet. Let me see if I can turn that in the other direction. The dots lining up. That's kind of cool. There we go. Now I've got those dots kind of lining up. You can't really see where the pieces match. So I'm just going to try and make sure that they come together more or less in the center there. Not too shabby. I mean, that's part of the paper. The paper has this kind of blue that kind of dips in and out. But it could have been, oh, and look, the blue goes from there down to there, so that piece must have been cut from a similar piece. Anyway, it's a miracle. So there we go. So now we have that. And all we have to do now is firm up. Let's see. These guys. It doesn't run as nicely as I'd hoped. Let me play with a couple of other ones here. These are a little bit lighter because they're from a different place on the page. Yeah, those two are lighter. I'm going to have to play with this one. And it has that blue stripe through it, so I think I'm going to try and line these dots up. A little bit. There we go. And that's not too bad. Okay, so we're going to use it that way. I'm just trying to get the dots to sort of look like they're coordinating. So I had that like that on here. And kind of dragging that across. There we go. And then we just need one piece for the very top. Let's try this side again. Whichever one coordinates a little bit better is the one I'm going to choose. Yeah, neither of them are very good. So we're just going to pick the other one because it's a bit darker in color. But as you can see, it's coming together fairly well. There's not too much of a difference until you get to this last piece up here. Then it kind of goes awry, but that's okay. I think that your attention will be drawn away from that with March and some of the playful other things we're going to put on there. So there you go. You can do it. Oops. Oh. I didn't have it far enough over to the edge, so I'm going to have to think of something to do in that corner. Alrighty. Those guys can get put in my strip bin. These too small. There we go. All right. Now, I do have some rub-ons. So let's see where the first day of the month is. Today is so April 1st was on a Sunday. So first, so I have that whole row there. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 30. Okay, so I have from Sunday to Friday here that I can decorate with some of these rub-ons and some of these pretty flowers. Now, I'm thinking this is just a bit big, so I am going to trim between the flowers so that I can use this in a different way. And so I'm just going to trim this down a little bit, get rid of some of this stuff. is distracting. There we go. There we go. So this piece I'm thinking I'm going to put in the top corner here because I have left a little bit of a gap, and I'm okay with things disappearing off the page. So I'm going to stick it there, and then I'm going to trim the back. So let's get that done first. I don't generally pop dot my my flowers on my calendar page. So what if I had that going there? Actually, I like that. Okay, so now I'm going to trim the excess flower off on this side, and I have this whole line that I need to chop off. I'm going to get my longer scissors because I have to be careful with this. Make sure I'm trimming it right up against the edge of the paper, but not over the paper. And white on white is very hard to see. Okay. And now we're going through several layers of paper. There we go. Alrighty. That can all go into recycling. There we go. Now it feels like that corner is more or less finished. And you can see, sorry, I have to clear my calendar there. And you can see what's going on now. Alright, now April is a small word. So before I go any further, I'm going to try to figure out where I might want to see my April and which letter. So I have these letters that are very sort of collegiate-y looking letters. Not sure I like those so much. I have these letters, but I'm almost afraid that they're going to disappear on the background. Let me just grab one and see what happens. I'm going to pop off an O there. No, I guess it's okay. It's hard to see what the color is, but that's okay. It's muted, so it goes in. And then, of course, I have thin letters I can use. And then the thicker, more collegiate letters I can use. Let me open this up and get one of those. So I think I'm going to actually go with this because it gives you sort of a purpley look, even though it is navy stripe. So we're going to go with that. Get these back on their pages. There we go. And I'm going to pull this out. So as I always do, I line up my letters on some sort of an alignment tool or my ruler. Today I'm going to use my alignment tool. I don't even know if you can get these alignment tools anymore, but they are very handy. This is an old one, I'm pretty sure is not available anymore. I have many different ones. It's just whatever's at hand at the time. And I'm just going to pin this closed so it doesn't move. There we go. And I'm going to start with my A. And I'm going to put it just a little bit on the plastic. And you can see the grid on this has disappeared, but I'm using the line as how I'm placing the letters. So this part of the letter goes just below the line. And where's my P? It's on this side. And leave a little bit of space. It's nice that these have serifs, so it's much easier to place them. P, my R. So I'm thinking this needs to really touch because the P and the R are large letters and it gives too much space. My I. And my L. So I'm just going to look at that, see if I like it. It looks a little wonky. So let's straighten that one out. How does that look? I think I'm going to space this a little bit more apart because these two letters are so big. Give them a little bit more space. Let's see if I like that better. That's a little better. Yeah, they were too close together. And how's everything looking? That's a bit wonky. It's a bit wonky. Need a little more space there. There we go. I think that will do. This eye is bothering me. There we go. Got it. Now don't move. Don't breathe. So now just pop off these guys. Because it's a Teflon sheet under there, the letters should just come off. And now I decide where I want to put it. I can put it right under the flowers and then continue to create flowers across the top. I can put it in the center. I can put it up at the top, up at the bottom. I think I want to try doing this because I usually put everything in the center. And so I just want to do something a little bit different. Now this has the same theory as any other sheet, is you just pop it off and pull it out. And there's your April. So April is sitting there more or less the way I want it to be. I'm just going to jiggle it a little bit. Luckily these letters aren't as sticky as some. There we go. So there's April, and then in hand pen writing I'm going to put 2023 there. Get rid of this because I'm done. Alright, and now we can continue to play with what we have available to play with. So I have a couple of green flowers, but they don't really show up so well on the green background, so I'm going to play with those on maybe some of the empty space here. Maybe put a little collage of them with some dark leaves. And then I have some butterflies that stand out quite nicely. I have this remaining piece, which I can trim out and tuck it behind the butterfly. And there was a piece of leaves that could come out underneath there. I could actually trim this up a little. I feel like they're leaving just a little too much white around their stuff. There we go, that's a little better. And then I can put my butterfly. He's kind of big, isn't he? So maybe I put a smaller butterfly. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Okay. Don't like it. So I'm going to start again. Let's see what we have here. These are quite large. So I'm feeling that this stuff is a little bit too big. The butterflies I could use, but these flowers are quite huge. So I am going to have to somehow make this one work. Let's see. I want to have some leaves coming out that way, and we can have our big butterfly over here and a couple of smaller ones. These I will fold, and here's our leaves that are sort of left over. Oops. Can put that in there. And another leaf is here. Stick that down there. And we do have a couple of butterflies here that we could place. Now, interesting enough, there's little blotches of stuff on the paper, little blotches of color, which I can just fill in some of the spots that are open. So I'm going to just take those off the butterflies for now. Steal that a little bit so I could have a butterfly coming out here and one over here towards Friday and Saturday. What else can I steal? It's just that these flowers are so big. Like that would just take over the entire page. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to steal some blotchy bits to fill in. And I'm going to move this over there a little bit. There we go. And have this maybe like that. Maybe open this up a bit with more butterflies. There we go. All right, we're going to leave it at that, and let's get the rub-on tool. So this guy I'm going to put down here, and you got to get your fingernails under there. These are fairly good rub-ons. If you can get the plasticky bits up, they come off quite nicely. And generally in one piece. There we go. There's that guy. And this one, we're going to put him down. There we go. Now we're going to stick these guys down. So I want this one down first. So that goes there. Alrighty. Now we're going to stick this guy down. There. And we're going to stick this guy down. Like that. Oops. Oh. Let me adjust this slightly, because I think I had this going in up here somehow. There we go. This little guy coming out the bottom. Go on. There we go. That looks too angular. Needs to go more in that corner and on an angle, I think. There we go. And then these guys may need to be trimmed off. And this can come out of there. There we go. All right, and these guys can all go on. Now, I am going to do these because I cannot stand butterflies that are completely flat. So I'm going to glue these guys on. Just getting my glue. Glue these little guys on. A little bit more 3D. And this guy too. I don't know why, I just can't stand them being flat when you can make them three-dimensional. There we go. And they'll flatten with the paper when it goes into the album. Now, some of these guys we can play around with. There we go. There we go, and it just makes sort of a light little pattern. I'm going to just do a few more for in that corner. Okay, one for up there. Two little ones here. There we go. Green one there. There we go. And then first day of the month starts there. So let's see where we're at here. Let me bring it a little closer to you. So you can see how those little dots help kind of pull the spacing together there. And of course I'm going to number and put in my calendar in the open spaces. And there you have it. That's my April page. What I might do, actually, since I do have my Wink-a-Stella here, I'm going to go in and add Wink-a-Stella to the wings of the butterflies because I just like it to give it that ephemeral quality. And I even add it to the butterfly wings that are rub-ons. Don't generally put it on the body, just on the wings. It just gives that little kind of iridescent-y look. And you can put as little or as much as you want. So there you can see some of the sparkle. Actually, you can't see the sparkle at all. There we go. There's the sparkle on the wings. And even on the... It takes a little longer to dry on the plasticky rub-on. Whoops. Oh, I just realized I've got a few more of these. So let's use them since they're there. There's no point wasting them. There we go. Alrighty. And I probably have got glossy accents here. I can glossy accents the body of the butterflies to make them pop up a little bit. Let me just open up my glossy accents because it tends to get dry at the tip. And then carefully squeeze out some for the bodies of the butterflies. There we go. And just a little bit on the centers of those flowers helps to give you the impression that there's some 3D-ness happening. And I think I would like to have these glossy as well. And they're cardstock, so, or not cardstock, but board, so they won't buckle when I put the glossy accents on. And of course, when you do the glossy accents, you need to give it a good 3 to 5 hours to dry perfectly without touching anything, so it'll be nice and clear and stand up nicely. So at the beginning of the video, you will see the finished product. If you've forgotten what that looks like, you can go back and start it again. And if you have any questions, please put that in the comment fields. I'm happy to answer questions. And there's my April page. So, if you enjoyed this video and you felt like you learned something from it and would like to pass it on to your friends, feel free. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. I will see you next Thursday. Bye now.